We get at least 8 weeks, and it can be up to 12. So I took 10. I had a C-section, so I took 10 weeks. So yeah, they offered it for me, and it was paid. And then for him, he was able to take days off, but they don't really give him the same, like they don't give him the same length of time. He's not allowed to take 10 weeks off like I was. At least not paid. So like he could here, but then you don't get paid for any of it.
Yes, by law, I know my wife had to receive 6 weeks pay on all 3 of our daughters. She took all 6 and extended a few without pay.
So did they offer you leave?
I know I was offered leave. I didn't take advantage of it. Looking back now, I guess there's no reason why I shouldn't have. But with my wife being home, I felt my daughters were taken care of.
Yes, I was granted 6 weeks or 8 weeks, depending upon the type of birth I have.
Did they offer your spouse leave?
Well, my husband's self-employed, so he can take whatever he wants.
My wife had leave from her job. I had leave. I had a choice of leave from my job. I didn't take it.
Okay. How long do they offer you?
I think you can take. I guess you can take 12. You can take unpaid leave for up to 2 years. I think you can take. I guess you can take 12. You can take unpaid leave for up to 2 years.
Oh, so it was all unpaid?
Here is unpaid.
You didn't have any choice to have paid leave?
No, I believe only a woman does, but it's really medical for after the birth, not to raise your child. You get 6 weeks in there.
Do you know how long your leave would have been?
I believe it's 6 weeks as well.
And it's unpaid?
Yes.
Okay.
No, excuse me. I think it would be paid.
Was it paid or unpaid for you?
The 6 weeks were paid, and then I took FEMLA, which is 12 weeks of unpaid leave. But during those 12 weeks, I still had medical benefits so that I could take the baby to the doctors, no problem. But once again, I was unpaid for those 12 weeks.
It's 8 weeks paid if you have a natural birth. No, I lied. 6 weeks paid if you're natural birth. 8 weeks for a C-section unless your doctor extends it with a doctor's note. And then you can take up to 2 years off unpaid. So that's nice. So you do have the opportunity to stay home if you
want. Did your work offer you or your spouse leave?
They offered me a leave. My husband, no.
How long was your leave?
My leave is 8 weeks, but I have to take my sick days, so.
Was it paid or unpaid?
It's paid because I take my sick days. If I didn't take sick days, it was unpaid.
Would it be just under FEMLA?
No, FMLA is different. That's an additional 12 weeks, which I intend on taking for just 11 days up until the end of the school year. That one you don't get paid, and I have to pay for my medical coverage.
Were you relieved or stressed to be away from work?
Not necessarily relieved. I miss work, but I'm happy to be home with my baby.
And do you think that the early stages of bonding with your child is important?
Yes, absolutely. He recognizes my voice. He recognizes my face. He recognizes my husband. I feel like if he was under child's care or if somebody else was watching him, I don't think the bond would be as strong, but I don't know because he hasn't been watched by anybody else, so.
One thing we learned when filming this project is that not all leaves are the same. In West Islip School District, not all employees are offered the same time off. Superintendent Bernadette Burns explained that there are bargaining units which determine certain aspects of their contracts. The teachers of West Islip have the largest bargaining unit and therefore more benefits to their contract. This is what gives them their unlimited sick days. As Mrs. Bittner explained, in Lindenhurst, teachers do not have unlimited sick days, so her leave goes against that time. After using up these sick days, Mrs. Bittner will no longer have paid leave. This shows that while in West Islip it seems that the time after having a child is very important, it's not the same everywhere else.
Bonding with your child is important.
Oh my God, yes. In so many ways.
Extremely important. Everything, every developmental psychologist, talks about the early stages of infancy and the bond and attachment that kids create with their caregivers. So, being a teacher, getting out early from school, I was able to be home and be around my daughters in their infancy. 2 of them were born at the end of the school year, so all summer long, within 24 hours. So.
It's important.
Absolutely.
Everyone.
It's right at the top of the list. Children need to have that secure attachment. Without that, it becomes difficult for kids to reach many of the other milestones that need to happen in terms of their emotional development. So that secure attachment, that sense of safety, of trust, there's a champion out there for me. It's okay for me to make a mistake or to not be successful at something because my mom is there for me. All of those begin right during infancy. Those messages, those feelings are important even for a young baby.
There are a number of common misconceptions parents have about infants and young children. One of the most common is parents not realizing that an infant or young child can have their own thoughts and that they have their own feelings and that they need the parent to be helping organize their internal world of experience. What we know is that early experiences that children have with their caregivers influence their curiosity, their interest in exploring their environment, and their interest in learning. Children who have positive early experiences with their caregivers have the best outcomes across the board, including learning.
We know from the newest science that, in fact, the early experiences that babies have and the quality of those experiences actually has the potential to change the architecture of the brain. Those first 2 years in a child's life can influence and impact their long-term development. It literally does influence who they become as an adult.
Here we have a chart which depicts the duration of paid maternity leaves worldwide. As you can see, countries such as Ireland and Vietnam get as much as 26 weeks off. The United Kingdom gets a shocking 40 weeks off. The US is depicted as 0 weeks off. This greatly impacts early childhood bonding since a parent in the United States has limited time off from work to bond with their newborn. FMLA was enacted in 1993 and was a huge advance for the growing movements that changed family dynamics. While traditionally, women have served as primary caretakers of their children, the FMLA allows this to change. Today, there are more women in the full-time workforce than ever before. This leaves the husbands responsible for taking care of children. Gay couples and adoptive parents also can thank FMLA for the time they have off to spend bonding with their child. Since there is no medical reason for them to be off, the law allows them to stay home during these important stages of development. While FMLA was a huge advance for working families, there is still more to be done. Time off is important for the development of children. However, unpaid leave can be detrimental to a new family. Having a financially stable home is a huge aspect when raising a baby. While this law has done its best to ensure access to a suitable home life for the development of a child, employers can still take part in this. More men and women who do not bear a child should be able to have paid leave for time to spend with their new child. As of April 2016, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo signed into law a very generous family leave policy of up to 12 weeks paid time off for the new parents, as well as those who need to take care of a family member with a serious medical condition or to handle responsibilities if someone is called to active military service. The new policy will phase in gradually. Beginning January 1st of 2018, workers can get up to 8 weeks off at 50% of their weekly pay, to a maximum of about $630, which is half of the average weekly pay in the state. By 2021, they'll be able to get the full 12 weeks at 2/3 pay, as long as they have worked for their employer for at least 6 months. All new parents are eligible, whether you're a man, woman, an adoptive parent, or a foster parent.